Thanks for joining us for another story. I'm really glad that you're here to listen. And that's what we're here to do, is just listen and enjoy the story while you look at a backdrop of beautiful nature. Today's story is with an animal that lives in nature, is nocturnal. You don't see them that often, but some people think they look pretty ugly or hideous is another word. Are you familiar with an animal that you think doesn't look that great? But you know, all animals are created uniquely. And this one, a possum, is definitely unique looking. You definitely will remember what a possum looks like when you see one. Our story today talks about a young possum that's learning. And along the way, that possum makes mistakes. And that's okay, because you learn from mistakes. But there's a couple scary moments in this one for this possum. Well, let's just get right into the story so you can hear about it. Oh, Possum. There once lived a family of possums on the edge of a small town. Father Possum and Mother Possum had a large litter full of curious little creatures, each with their own personality. Among them was the youngest baby possum. He was silly, often forgetful, and always getting into trouble. But that was to be expected. After all, mistakes are how young possums learn. This is the story of some of baby possum's mistakes and the lessons he learns along the way. One night, while scavenging for food along the edge of town, the possum family came upon a house. Father Possum, ever wise, knew the homes often meant left scraps. "All right, kids," he said, sniffing the air. "Smells like grease. That's promising. Let's check behind the house." They crept quietly to the backyard and climbed up onto the deck. On the railing sat a large grill, its lid left open by the humans. "This might be a good meal," Father Possum said. "But first, we must check the grill to make sure it's cool." Before he could finish his warning, Baby Possum darted ahead, excited by the smell. He jumped right onto the grill. "Ow! Ow! Ow!" he cried, hopping across the hot metal before leaping back to the railing. "Oh, Possum," Father Possum groaned. "You didn't listen. You have to test the heat first. That grill was probably used just a short time ago." Baby Possum winced, his paws sore. "I'm sorry, Father." "It's all right, but let's look under the grill instead. Sometimes there's grease down there that won't burn your feet." Later that night, as they moved through the woods, Baby Possum began to feel sleepy. He was still young, and even though possums are nocturnal, the excitement had worn out. He wrapped his tail around a tree branch and let himself hang, ready for a nap, but just as he was dozing off, his tail slipped and he fell. Splat! "Oh, Possum," Mother Possum said gently, rushing over. "You're not supposed to hang like that for long. Our tails can help us climb down, but we're not bats." "But I heard we could sleep upside down," Baby Possum said. "The rabbits told me, and the tortoise." "Are they possums?" she asked. He shook his head. "Exactly. Don't believe every tall tale you hear." As the night went on, the family came to a road. They followed alongside it, eventually needing to cross to return home. But before Mother or Father Possum could lead the way, Baby Possum rushed ahead on his own. Midway across, a pair of headlights lit up. Frozen in fear, he stood still as the car approached fast and loud. At the last possible second, Father Possum snapped his tail around Baby Possum's and yanked him to safety. "Oh, Possum," Father shouted, "you must look both ways. We're not like the squirrels. We can't outrun cars. We have to wait, listen for tires, and move only when it's safe." Baby Possum, shaken, looked up. "Thank you for saving me, Father." "You're welcome, but please be careful." When they finally made it home, daylight was breaking. The family curled up in their cozy nest to sleep. But Baby Possum, still a bit restless, tiptoed outside. The sun hit him hard, bright, hot, and blinding. He squinted and groaned. "Oh, Possum," Mother Possum called from his side. "We don't go out during the day. That's for other animals. You'll hurt your eyes." Baby Possum hurried back inside and finally fell asleep, tucked into the warmth of the nest. The next evening, the family headed out once again, crossing a wide open field. A risk, but the only route to their destination. In the distance, they heard the haunting call of an owl. Suddenly, wings flapped above them. In an instant, Father and Mother Possum dropped to the ground, playing dead. Most of the young ones followed their lead, except Baby Possum, who kept walking, confused by the sudden stop. Then came the swoop. The owl dived and sank its talons into Baby Possum's back. But just as it tried to lift him into the air, Father Possum whipped his tail, smack, startling the owl enough to make it drop its prey and fly away. "Oh, Possum," Father cried, "when you hear an owl, you have to drop and play dead. That's our best defense." "I didn't see it," Baby Possum stammered. "If I had, I'm sure I would have dropped, too." "Next time, stay aware, be alert. That's how you survive out here." Night after night, mistake after mistake, Baby Possum learned. He learned not to leap before looking, not to trust every tale, not to cross alone, not to wander into the daylight, and not to ignore danger. Over time, his family stopped calling out, "Oh, Possum," so much. He grew up wiser and stronger, and one day he had his own litter of curious little possums. When they made their silly mistakes, he smiled, wrapped his tail gently around theirs, and passed down all the lessons his parents had taught him. And sometimes when they leapt too fast or hung too long or forgot to play dead, he'd just shake his head and say, "Oh, Possum." Well, the possum had a lot of little challenges, didn't he, along his journey with his family. And good thing Mom and Dad were there to help him out and to give him direction for the future. But the interesting thing about this story is I say, "Oh, Possum." Well, sometimes possums are spelled different ways. The word itself, oftentimes it's just Possum, but then other times there's an O in front that's silent. So I kind of use that in the language of the story, saying, "Oh, Possum," even though it's a slightly different spelling in how you would approach it. But it is interesting. The ones with O's in front are actually a possum that lives in Australia. It's a marsupial, and it just happens to be slightly different, and they named it that here. In the United States or potentially some other countries, it's typically omitted with the O. But people will interchange them all the time, even though they are technically different creatures in the world, and they're just spelled one with an O and one without. But they're often interchanged, so if you ever see the spelling with an O in front, it probably means one or two of those different animals. Well, I hope you enjoyed this story. There was a little bit of suspense, a little bit of laughter, I hope, and I hope you join us again for another story from the woods.